From the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains in beautiful Colorado, it is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, and this is Truly News. I am your host, Jason Van Sickle. I hope that your week is going well so far and that you are having a good start to your new day. As we begin this new day, let's focus on increasing your knowledge and expanding your insights with a review of the day's news. As always, we start with a look at the top headlines from across the country. The top headlines in most news agencies today are focused on the fact that a tie vote in the Supreme Court lets stand a lower court's ruling that mail-in ballots received after Election Day can be counted in Pennsylvania. Here are more details from National Public Radio. In its ruling, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said that ballots could be counted if they were received by 5 p.m. November 6th, as long as they were mailed by Election Day, November 3rd. The lower court's ruling also said that ballots without a postmark would be, quote, presumed to have been mailed by Election Day, unquote, unless there was strong evidence to the contrary. Republicans had sought an emergency overturn of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's decision, arguing that it is up to the state legislature, not the courts, to set the rules for how elections are conducted. They also said the court's ruling could allow ballots cast after Election Day to be counted. The U.S. Supreme Court's most conservative justices, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Clarence Thomas, said they would have agreed to overturn the ruling, but Chief Justice John Roberts joined the court's three most liberal members to reject the request. Since the Supreme Court's decision was tied, the lower court's ruling must stand. In other headlines, from the Washington Post, the Debate Commission will mute microphones during parts of Thursday's debate. The Commission on Presidential Debates said Monday night that it will mute President Trump's and Democrat nominee Joe Biden's microphones during parts of Tuesday's presidential debate at Belmont University in Nashville. The Commission said it will give Trump and Biden 2 minutes apiece to speak uninterrupted at the start of each segment. Trump's campaign has repeatedly opposed the idea of granting the moderator the power to shut off a candidate's microphone, an idea that has been floated in the aftermath of the first debate, during which Trump repeatedly interrupted and jeered Biden. And from USA Today, 5 things to know this Tuesday. Number 1. Will a COVID-19 stimulus deal be struck today? The clock is ticking for Democrats and Republicans to reach a COVID-19 stimulus deal after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi set today as a deadline for both sides to come together to restore urgently needed benefits before Election Day. Both sides are struggling to cut a deal just 2 weeks before the election, with Democrats and Republicans hundreds of billions of dollars apart in their proposals and unable to resolve major policy differences on COVID testing, child tax credit provisions, and funding for state and local governments. And number 2, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump to campaign in Pennsylvania today. Number 3, we're not quite done with hurricane season. Tropical storm Epsilon, which is now in the Atlantic, is headed for Bermuda. Epsilon is the 26th named hurricane of this hurricane season. At this point, the hurricane is not expected to get any closer to the U.S. than Bermuda, which is an island that is 650 miles away from the East Coast. And number 4, the Los Angeles Dodgers and Tampa Bay Rays are headed to the World Series, which begins with Game 1 tonight. And the number 5 thing you need to know this Tuesday, according to USA Today, a meteor shower is coming to the skies near you. If the skies are clear tonight, then look skyward. You might catch a glimpse of the best and brightest meteor shower of the fall. The meteors will streak eastward and will be visible from anywhere on Earth, with as many as 20 to 25 per hour. And finally, in our look at the top headlines, here are the stories that are crossing the wire at Reuters News. First from Reuters, a U.S. appeals court on Monday dealt Ghislaine Maxwell a blow by refusing to block the release of a deposition she gave concerning her relationship with the late financier and registered sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Also from Reuters, President Trump called coronavirus expert Anthony Fauci a, quote, disaster, unquote, on Monday. He aired his frustration with the scientist during a call meant to reassure campaign staff he has a path to victory on November 3rd, despite trailing in the polls. And our final headline from Reuters, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Monday issued a, quote, strong recommendation, unquote, that all passengers and employees on airplanes, trains, subways, buses, taxis, and rideshare vehicles should wear masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And those are your top headlines for today. To put us all in a better mood after those headlines, we now present our top 5 joke countdown. As usual, bringing us the countdown is my friend Billy Cunningham. Billy is a comedian that goes by the stage name Potbelly. And here's Billy.
Thank you, Jason. From my studio here in Sweetwater, Appalachia, this is Billy Potbelly Cunningham. And joining me is my intern and assistant Penny. By the way, for those of you who live in Kermit, Texas, on Saturday, October 24th, I will be signing copies of my new cookbook called Crisco, a Microwave, and a Whole Lot of Fun. How to Fry Food in Your Microwave. That signing will take place at the Spicy Library, the Mexican cafe and bookstore in downtown Kermit. Hope to see you there. Now, on to our jokes. Penny is handing me the cards with today's jokes, which come from Reader's Digest. Some of the jokes have been rewritten to make them even funnier. And today's category is money jokes. Ooh, baby. Here we go. Number 5. What is the dead man... Well, sorry about that. Made a mistake. Why was the dead man not living well? Answer: because he was dead broke. It's all right. So, Penny, as you know, my book release party's this week. I assume you got your invitation? Yeah, good. I'm excited. The publisher sprung for that fancy hotel downtown. But he wants me to cook some recipes from my cookbook as a demonstration in front of everybody. Well, anyway, hold that thought. I should get another joke in, keep this countdown moving. Number 4. This morning, the tip jar at my neighborhood coffee shop said, "Afraid of change? Then leave it here." That's all right. So anyway, at the book release party, they're going to set up these 3 different microwaves on a big long table in the front of the room. So as people eat the food, they want me to give the demonstration on how it's made. So it's a what? Okay. Keep the jokes moving. Thanks. Number 3. My dad is so cheap that I guarantee when he dies, he will end up walking toward the light and turning it off. That sounds like my dad. Anyway, so what I was thinking for the cooking demonstration, they want me to pick 1 appetizer, 1 entree, and 1 dessert. So here's my choice. I think that the chicken fried bacon strips with the fried salsa would be a good appetizer. You liked that one, didn't you? Yeah, me too. Hold on, let me get another joke in real quick. Number 2. I went to the bank to deposit a check, and they asked me for my ID. I asked, what if I didn't have one? The teller answered, then, to protect the security of your account, sir, we couldn't do the transaction. Seriously, I replied, are you telling me other people are trying to put money into my account and you've been telling them no? That was pretty funny. Anyway, so for the entree, I was thinking about the fried spaghetti meatballs. What? You haven't tried those? Oh, man, they're great. I put the spaghetti inside the meatball, then I roll it into shredded mozzarella and coat the outside with cheese stick breading. Ooh, baby, it's good. After I do all that, then I microwave fry it, and the whole thing is served in a coffee mug smothered with marinara. Oh, man. What? Why a coffee mug? Well, that's the only thing I had clean in my apartment the first time I made the recipe. So I just kept it that way. Anyway, we do need to wrap up this countdown. Jason's waiting on us. All right, folks, enough of me and Penny's gabbing. Here is your number one money joke of the day. My grandma and grandpa are flea market dealers, and they usually carry stacks of $1 bills. Not long ago, they had lunch at a restaurant and paid the check with singles. As the waitress collected the ones, she looked at my 80-year-old grandma and said, "Looks like you had a good night dancing last night." Yes, funny, 'cause she's old. Oh, well, those are your jokes for today. I'm glad that we had a little time together this morning, and I look forward to our time together tomorrow. In the meantime, be kind to others, be good to yourself, and keep on smiling. This is Billy Potbelly Cunningham, signing off. Over and out.
There you have it, folks. Billy and his top 5 countdown. Thanks, Billy. And now we return to the news. In Social Issues and Trends, our first article is from the Pew Research Center. Americans are divided on whether increased focus on race will lead to major policy change. More black adults now say that the country has work to do to address racial inequality. Attitudes of white adults remain largely unchanged since 2019. The public is about evenly split on whether the increased focus on issues of race and racial inequality in the country in the past 3 months will lead to major policy changes to address racial inequality. 48% say it will, and 51% say it will not. And in other news involving social issues and trends, from the Gallup Polling and News Agency, 1 in 4 Americans considers abortion a key voting issue. Americans' general views of abortion remain mostly steady, and so too are their opinions on whether it is a key voting issue. In a recent poll, 24% of U.S. adults say they will only vote for a candidate that shares their views on abortion. 47% say the issue is one among many important factors they will consider when they vote. And 25% say they do not consider it a major issue. And that is your update on social issues and trends in the news today. In Earth and Environmental News, our first article is from the New York Times. The world's largest tropical wetland has become an inferno. This year, roughly a quarter of the vast Pantanal wetland in Brazil, one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, has burned in wildfires worsened by climate change. And in other Earth and environmental news, National Geographic reports fireball dropping drones and the new technology helping to fight fires. As unprecedented wildfires ravage California and much of the West, firefighters have taken innovative steps to try to help with the flames, including fireball dropping drones. Fighting fires still depends on cutting brakes, setting backfires, and spraying water. However, in an age where climate change is promoting more and bigger fires that consume millions of acres in a single season, the profession of firefighting must be quicker, safer, and cover greater ground. Enter the drones. Because of their size and maneuverability, human-piloted drones can access places that traditional aircraft cannot. So, Dozens of drones are now being used to survey fire areas and drop fireballs to help set backfires. And that is your Earth and environmental news for today. Now it is time for our words of wisdom and encouragement. To present this segment is Dr. Albert Feinstein, my philosophy professor from college. And here is Dr. Feinstein.
Thank you, Mr. Van Sickle. Hello, and welcome to today's Words of Wisdom and Encouragement. Today, we have an old Japanese proverb which says, "If you fall 7 times, then stand up 8." What the proverb is reminding us is that whenever life gives us a setback, we must remember that as long as we get back up and keep moving forward, then we still have hope, we still have opportunity, and we can overcome hardship and refuse defeat. Failure only happens when you quit trying. So, when life stands in the way of your goals or knocks you down, refuse to give up. Stand back up and keep trying, because as long as you stand up one more time than you are knocked down, then you will always find yourself on your feet with the ability to keep pushing forward. And those are your words of wisdom and encouragement for today. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom and believing in your incredible potential. Good luck.
Thank you, Dr. Feinstein. We appreciate your words of wisdom and encouragement. Now we return to our review of the day's news. From the world of science and technology, our first article is from Discover Magazine. Can citizens help fight misinformation and biased news coverage? In an era of social media bots, deep fakes, and alternative facts, reliable news is more important than ever. Now, a citizen science project called Public Editor is asking volunteers to help suss out credible news through online analysis. With guidance and support, Public Editor volunteers evaluate sections of news articles for, quote, reasoning errors, unquote, and other issues. In speaking about the project, the Public Editor's co-director Nick Adams said, quote, "The most rewarding aspect of this work is hearing from volunteers who so appreciate being empowered to confront this massive and growing problem of misinformation," unquote. You can find out more information about the project at publiceditor.io. Also in science and technology news, from SciTech Daily, tapping secrets of Aussie spider's unique silk could yield strong new genetic material. An international collaboration has provided the first insights into a new type of silk produced by a very unusual Australian spider. The silk is uniquely rigid and strong. Quote, "As far as we know, no other spider builds a web like this," unquote, said Professor Mark Elger of the School of Bioscience at the University of Melbourne. While more research is needed to understand the structure and composition of the silk, researchers believe that there is potential interest in seeing if the natural material could be used to develop commercial products and applications. And those are your science and technology headlines for today. In space travel and exploration news, from space.com, NASA awards $370 million to private companies to aid moon exploration. NASA has awarded $370 million in contracts designed to aid its push to get astronauts back to the moon and then on to Mars. The funding is spread across 15 contracts to 14 different companies. Nearly 70% of the money is earmarked for the management of cryogenic fluids, which are the cold fluids such as liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen used as rocket fuel. Other technologies being funded include drilling equipment to search for frozen water on the moon and landers capable of carrying individuals and supplies across the moon's surface. Also in space travel and exploration news, from phys.org, why scooping an asteroid sample is harder than it sounds. When NASA's OSIRIS-REx spacecraft descends towards the surface of the ancient asteroid Bennu tomorrow, it'll be the first time that a U.S.-led mission attempts to pick up a sample of material from an asteroid. The mission to sample an asteroid many millions of miles from Earth is anything but a walk on the beach. Since its arrival at the asteroid in December 2018, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft has spent its time orbiting the asteroid while scanning, photographing, measuring, and studying the very rocky surface. Eventually, scientists were able to find a small landing site in a crater that they named the Nightingale. Tomorrow, the spacecraft will make its first attempt to land at the Nightingale site and collect its sample to bring back to Earth. And that is your space travel and exploration news for today. In entertainment news, we start with new movies, and today's movie is Clouds, starring Finn Argus, Sabrina Carpenter, and Madison Iseman. This movie falls into the categories of drama and music. And here is the description from IMDb. Young musician Zach Zobich discovers his cancer has spread, leaving him with a few months to live. With limited time, he follows his dream and makes an album, unaware that it'll soon be a viral music phenomenon. Clouds is now available on Disney+. Moving on, we look at newly released shows, and today's show is Deaf U. This series falls into the category of reality TV, and here is the description from IMDb. Deaf U follows a group of students attending Gallaudet University, a private college catering to the deaf and hard of hearing. For producer Niall DeMarco, the goal of the series is to show deaf people as humans from all walks of life. Season 1 of Deaf U is now showing on Netflix. Finally, in our entertainment news, we take a look at newly published books. And our book for today is Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. This book is presently number 4 on the New York Times fiction bestseller list. Here is a summary of the book from Amazon.com. From the best-selling author of Rich and Pretty comes a suspenseful and provocative novel keenly attuned to the complexities of parenthood, race, and class. Leave the World Behind explores how our closest bonds are reshaped and unexpected new ones are forged in moments of crisis. Leave the World Behind is now available in print at your local bookstore, and it is also available in print, Kindle, and audiobook formats on Amazon. And that concludes our entertainment news for the day. In health news, from WebMD, Oxford University develops 5-minute COVID-19 test. Scientists at the Oxford University Physics Department have developed a COVID-19 test that can identify the virus in 5 minutes or less. This, according to a news release from the university. The speed in returning results means that the test could be used in business, airports, and music venues to help provide coronavirus-free spaces, according to the press release. Rapid result testing is considered an important part of reopening national economies during the pandemic. The researchers hope to start producing the test in early 2021 and have an approved device on the market within 6 months. Also in health news, from Science Daily, drink coffee after breakfast, not before, for better metabolic control. A strong black coffee to wake you up after a bad night's sleep could impair control of blood sugar levels, according to a new study. Researchers from the Center for Nutrition, Exercise, and Metabolism in the United Kingdom looked at the effect of poor sleep and morning coffee on physical health. Writing in the British Journal of Nutrition, the scientists show that while one night of poor sleep has limited impact on our metabolism, drinking coffee as a regular way to perk you up in the mornings can have a negative effect on the control of blood sugar levels. Given the importance of keeping our blood sugar within a safe range to reduce the risk of conditions such as diabetes and heart disease, they say these results could have important health implications, especially considering the global popularity of coffee. And that is your health news for today. As always, we end our broadcast with a look at what we call Happy News, and here is your Happy News story for the day. In a time of division in the country, one local teacher is doing all she can to spread messages of love and compassion to her students. It is one of many reasons WDBJ Channel 7 in Roanoke, Virginia selected Jessica Johnson, a first grade teacher at McHard Elementary School, as their October hometown mentor. For the past decade, Johnson has been impacting local students as a teacher. While the current pandemic makes things a bit challenging, she, like her colleagues, has adapted. Quote, I want children to know that when they come into my classroom that they have somebody that cares for them and is invested in them and loves them deeply, unquote, Johnson said. Because of that, she felt like it was very important to teach children how to do random acts of kindness. However, due to the pandemic, this year's acts of kindness needed to be carried out differently. This year, Johnson's students wrote positive and uplifting messages for students in other classes. They sent those messages to the other students, and now it is those students' turn to do the same for others. It is just one way that Johnson goes above and beyond to positively impact the young minds within her classroom and her community. Quote, I tell my kids every year that if they don't leave me with anything else, I want them to learn how to be a good person and a kind person and just treat people with respect, unquote. And that is your news for October 20th, 2020. Have a wonderful day.